Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Well, you've just said something incredibly profound, so I don't want to let it pass by.
Okay.
You said moving as a light being.
Yes.
Let's start. Let's define what you mean by that, because that's a very powerful phrase, and I think it gets to the heart of your work.
Yeah. Okay. So my perception, they had something that they called a sahu. Okay. And they had something that they called a kaibet. The kaibet is what we would think about as a shade or a shadow in terms of the way the Greeks used to think about it, okay? And a sahu is a light being. A sahu is one that's an awakened being. Osiris had a sahu because he was an awakened being, as opposed to one who was an unconscious being that moved simply as a shadow through existence. And let's face it, there are people who are living, who are moving as shadows through their own being. Yeah. And the whole point is for us to become awakened, enlightened beings. And so I think that when you can operate in a sahu body, in a body of light, that you're able to tap into, you're more able to rise to higher dimensions than you are moving into the lower dimensions, into the realm of illusions and glamours, if you will. And that's that too attached to the world type things. So I do think that there's a difference between those two states of alternative levels of being, if you will.
Now, the ancient Egyptians, if I recall correctly, and you write about, they had maybe 10 different words for different aspects of what we would call the soul.
They did. So the khat is, the hieroglyph for a khat is a fish. It's like a lower, baser matter, you know. When it decays, it doesn't smell very nice, you know. They had something, they had the kaibet, they had the sahu, they had, there's another word, it'll come to me in just a minute, the heart, the
sakim.
Yeah, the ab is the heart. We're moving up now into levels that have to do more with thought vibrations. So the heart, the seat of consciousness. The sekem is more like your attachment to your willpower as a vibration. There's a word named ren, that's your attachment to thought manifestation through language. There's the ka, which is your spirit, your animating principle. It's the spiritual part of you that's closest to the earthly part of you. You know, it has to be revivified, okay, if you will, like through prayers and thoughts and things like that. The ba is your eternal soul, and then you have the ak, which is your illuminated self, your phoenix self.
Now, would you say that the ancient Egyptians understood all of these different words as sort of parts of us that separate from each other after death? Or are they just different angles or viewpoints on a single unitary spirit or soul?
I think it's more the second, where we're thinking about it as all parts of a living being. They're all together with us while we're walking this planet. They're all there. The only thing we lose is the khat at death, you know. And if we so choose, then we can lose the kaibet, the shadow, you know. But I think you're going to stay with the sahu as part of your spiritual being, because that's how ascended masters contact us, is through that light being that comes closest to what we can perceive in a more astral or etheric, whichever way you see that realm, as being beyond this physical shell.